Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of The Suited Shootist. For all the new subscribers, welcome. Thrilled to have you. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, shame on you. Go ahead and subscribe now. I'll wait. And in addition, if you hear any whimpering in the background, we are presently fostering a very sweet but incredibly clingy 3-year-old pit bull. So you might hear her trying to get up the stairs. There's the cameo. So please excuse that. I don't have a dedicated room with a door that I can film this in, so I'll work with what I got. Anyways, if you are finding the channel useful, we've got the Bespoke Solutions Facebook group where we have a lot more in-depth conversation on a lot of these topics. Everything from wardrobe development to balancing concealment gear, all that jazz. Also, if you haven't had a chance to pick them up already, I do still have some of the stickers left. So I will go ahead and put the link for those down in the details as well. If you want to pick a couple up, that'd be awesome. And let's jump into it. So what I want to talk about today is the idea of managing expectations, and not in the way that you'd think. Because if you followed the channel for any period of time, you know that I'm big on the idea that how you dress combined with how you conduct yourself can very much manage the expectations or set an expectation with people that you're interacting with. And especially if you're friends with any instructors that do a lot of national travel via air, then they'll tell you that sometimes getting on a plane and being polite and well put together has its perks. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is managing expectations as they pertain to your gear. Because I've had some experiences with this that I think are relevant. Both in terms of, number one, just dressing like somebody that there is no chance they are carrying a gun. And Aaron of the, I believe it was the Sharp Dress Shooter, I'll include his Instagram just so you guys can check it out. But like that was his deal. He basically was dressing intentionally like such a dandy that nobody would expect him to be carrying a firearm. And Lee over at the Obscene Sailor does the same thing. So there's definitely some merit to that. And when it comes to that managing of expectations, it's also making sure that if you have any gear that's visible, then that's also playing into the expectations that you want. And here's what I mean by that. In my pockets, I've got 2 pieces of equipment hanging out. Now, one of them is actually, I had to borrow from a friend because it's a piece of gear that I'm not super fond of myself. And that is the Ethereum Switchback. If you're not familiar with it, it is an aftermarket replacement clip and finger ring that's available for a variety of flashlights. The idea being is that in addition to giving you a much more stout pocket clip, it allows you to get a better two-handed purchase on a pistol, and you can kind of use the gas pedal of it to activate the light. And I just realized that is probably going to jack with my green screen, so yay. But aside from the fact that personally I find the two-handed grip that I get with it a little clunky and ungainly, what I'm not the biggest fan of is this ring with the little gas pedal on it. It's not a sharp point, but it comes to a point. And I can tell you from personal experience that normal people don't know what this is. And that's not a good thing, because everyone that I've interacted with that saw it and didn't know what it was assumed that because it had a finger ring, which it pretty obviously does, with a little pointy bit on it, they assumed that it was an impact weapon. Now, I don't know how serviceable this actually is in that role, but that's a problem for me, because if it's visible, now all of a sudden people are drawing conclusions of a much more aggressive tool set then I want to advertise. And sure, yeah, I mean, I can kind of, untuck this a little bit further and have the hem of my shirt kind of hang down over top of it. But even still, at some point, this is going to peak out. And it's not suitably discreet for my tastes, which is one of the reasons that I opted to get rid of mine. Thankfully, I got a buddy who still prefers to carry one, and that's cool. It's not a right or wrong. It's a contextual thing. But yeah, so that was on loan. So what I've got in this pocket is a key fob from Trunk Monkey Designs attached to a can of pepper spray. And now typically I don't feel like my pepper spray has to be a quick access tool like I talked about in last week's video, because I'm one of those folks that will have it staged in my hand whenever I'm going through a transitional space. But this can go for pocket knives too. If you are fond of carrying a folding pocket knife, something like that. And if you want to have more ready access to something so that you're not having to go down and fishing into your pockets, instead of the little, 511 tail, or the 550 cord tail with the Ranger beads on it, that is very obviously, a little tactical fiddly bit. If you've got what is literally just a nylon key fob in a very non-tactical, very stylish houndstooth pattern. These are available, by the way. This is basically the key fob variant of the McQueen collection. So anyways, not really an affiliate sponsored deal, because I do have a discount code with them, but I don't get anything off of that. So, but full disclosure, I'm friends with Josh. He has sent me a couple slings, as well as like a collar for my dog, all that jazz. But I don't want to get off on that tangent. Point being is, if you are the type of person that likes to have stuff in your pockets, whether that be a flashlight, a knife, pepper spray, what have you, and you want something that is hanging out of the pocket to make retrieval of it easier, then go with something that manages that expectation. If somebody looks at that and goes, oh, what is that? That's my keys. As far as they're concerned, they're my keys. Now, if they follow me out to my vehicle and they see me pull out another set of keys, yeah, at that point that might be a problem. But this is a lot easier to explain away than the 550 cord and the Ranger beads and like the little, death skull hanging off the end of it, and the stuff that is very overtly offensive. So that's kind of the idea, is when it comes to that managing expectations in terms of concealment, there's a couple different ways to go about it. Number one is not looking like somebody that carries a gun. And that element of it specifically is something that I've kind of harped on for a while. And it's just a matter of dressing in a manner that is contextually appropriate to your environment. So like when I go visit my in-laws in South Louisiana, all the Gucci shit stays home. I'm wearing boots, and jeans, and, thermals and Henleys and stuff like that. Because half the time we're out there, my brother-in-law is either taking me to the duck blind or the deer lease. So yeah, I'm not wearing, my fine Super 130 Italian suits out there. But in the same vein, something like this is fairly innocuous. It's not very overstated, and nobody's really going to look at me twice as long as the weather is appropriately cool, regardless of where I'm at. So not looking like you're carrying a gun, and, that's the contextually appropriate piece. We've all, myself included, kind of taken our shots at the 511 tuxedo, but it's more just dressing like yourself and not trying to dress up, because the operator chic is cool. And the other piece is, like I said, if you're going to have visible tools, make them look like something else. And make them look like something else. Don't just think that you're going to explain away, oh, that is my XYZ medical device, because that's its own video. It's its own pet peeve. It's something that has been discussed at great length in the Filster Workshop group, which you should also check out. But it's a bad idea. It's too specific, and it's still too unique of an answer. Something like this, it's a key fob. It is a key fob. And it's like, oh, it's my car keys. Nobody's going to ask to see it. And it doesn't really require any adjustments to my behavior either, like the medical device excuses would carry. So, like I said, this was going to be a quicker video, but I really want to drive home that idea of managing expectations is not just the interpersonal dynamic. It's also kind of the hiding in plain sight piece of the equation. And it doesn't take a lot. But what a lot of us, myself included, have been guilty of this is that for the tool-carrying segment of the population, there are certain things that are normal to us that are not normal to everybody else. And the problem is that it's the everybody else that has the potential to make our lives complicated. Because it's the everybody else that is going to identify pattern deviations and is going to be responsible for deeper scrutiny that can then result in getting made, getting swatted, undesirable official interactions with law enforcement, or possibly getting removed or ejected from venues, yada, yada, yada. I mean, hell, I got denied entry to a place because they had a problem with the fact that I was carrying a tourniquet. So that wasn't really a deal breaker for me. It wasn't someplace that I really wanted to go anyways. The people that I was with did, but I was perfectly happy to go. Okay, cool. You guys say that you have a medical team on staff, but nah, I'm good. I'm out. That was a particular line in the sand for me. So what do you guys do? What do you do to manage expectations? Whether it's in terms of how you present yourselves or how you present and configure your gear. I'd love to hear it. Put it down in the comments. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do that. Like the video if you find it useful. Join the Facebook group. If you find the channel particularly useful and you want to support the Patreon, that'd be awesome too. And aside from that, hope everybody has a great week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.